So first speaker of this day and of this session is Dr. Baba Saheb R. Sangpal. Uh, Dr. Sangpal is professor and dean examination. Along with that one, he was head of department of Visvesvaraya National Institute of Technology, Nagpur. As a HOD Physics, VNIT, he successfully received DST FIST grant of 219 lakhs. After obtaining PhD from Shivaji University under the guidance of Professor C.D. Lokhande, Kolhapur in 2001, he worked as a scientist, Helmholtz Center in Germany, JSPS postdoctoral fellow in Japan, and research associate University of Wisconsin, USA. He is recipient of a Young Scientist Outstanding Work Presentation Award by Material Research Society Japan in December 2005 and by Department of Science and Technology Government of India to participate in meeting of Nobel laureates in Germany 2001. He successfully guided 13 PhD students, amongst 4 got opportunity abroad and 3 are working in Spain and Korea. On his credit, there is 151 publications with average impact factor above 4. This is very important. I should repeat it. 151 publications with average impact factor above 4 with Google Scholar H index of 40, having citation above 4,600. He has completed 9 major research projects worth rupees 212 lakhs from DST, SCRB, DABRNS, and UGC funding agency. It is important to mention here that he was nominated for Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award in 2018 by Director VNIT. He is serving as expert committee member of AICT, expert panel member of DST projects, and expert reviewer for SCRB project evaluation. He has visited many countries like Sweden, France, Switzerland, Holland, Belgium, USA, Germany, Japan, and so on for delivering the talk and attending the meeting. He is fellow of Maharashtra Academy of Sciences, member of Institute of Physics, UK, the Indian Science Congress Association, Indian Association of Physics Teachers, and Material Research Society of India. He is serving as an expert member of the Department Academic Committee, NIT Raipur, VMC member, that is Eminent Educationist, Kendriya Vidyalaya Nagpur, and so on. That is a very big list that I am having here, Vice Chancellor nominee and so many. And research expertise, his research expertise includes the synthesis of nanomaterials, quantum dots, nanowires, and nanotubes of the inorganic semiconducting material by using simple and low-cost chemical route towards device-grade development, such as solar cells, sensors, and supercapacitors. So, the topic of his talk is state-of-art synthesis of nanomaterials for the development of device-grade flexible solid-state supercapacitor. So over to Professor Sangpal.
Uh, Thank you, Professor Pandey, for this nice introduction. Am I audible clearly, sir?
Yeah, you are audible. One
Yes.
thing that I could not complete, that one line. Above all, he is a very gentle fellow and very helpful to the scientific community and well recognized in this way also. Okay, sir, please continue.
Okay. Thank you very much. Can I share my presentation?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
Okay. Once again, thank you, Professor Pandey, for this nice introduction and giving me opportunity to deliver my talk inside this Energy Storage Science and Technology AICT sponsored course, which is called ATAL. So here I made the presentation title, that is a state of art synthesis of nanomaterials for the development of device grade flexible solid state supercapacitor. So basically here we are using nanomaterials. So everybody, the participant is having in mind that how to work on the nano, right? So the difficulty can be maybe major issue, right? Because of the sophisticated instrumentation that it is required for the research, right? From this presentation, you will get certain idea is that how the simple and low cost chemical methods are suitable not to synthesize the nanomaterial, but it can be applied for different device grade application. And as the topic is concerned inside this one, it is for the development of device grade flexible solid state supercapacitor. So whenever we are working on research, right? So we should think that it can help to clean up the past environmental damage. It should correct the present environmental problems, prevent future environmental impacts so that it can help to sustain the planet for future generation. Whenever you are keeping these aspects in your mind, then your research may be at the global level, which can have good impact. So as main concern, it is concerned for this one as the energy generation and utilization. As in India or and many countries, they can get free energy from the sunlight. So you can convert that sunlight into the electricity. So whatever the conversion it is there, that can be done by using photovoltaic cells, or we can say that is solar cell. And as you know that solar cell can withstand for many years. It can withstand maybe 15, 20 years, no doubt. Right? Although cost issue it is high, but the stability of this type of solar cell is very high. But whenever you want to implement this solar cell in your household purpose or any other application, the major issue it is concerned for the energy storage devices. And I think Professor Pandey has chosen the right topic called as the energy storage, that is the science and technology, which is a present need. Because whenever you are using the energy and you are storing that energy, for example, if you are storing the energy or if you are using the battery or something, maybe in the car or something, right? So it can be withstand maybe having the stability for 3 to 4 years, not more than that one. So everybody can think to work on the energy storage devices so that the major issue regarding the long-term stability can be solved, and it can have many applications that can be highlighted inside this topic. Not only this one, you will get certain idea that how can you work on nanomaterials by using this low-cost solution chemistry. So my concern inside this one is the energy storage device by means of supercapacitor. So actually our work, that is our group, it is basically working on the nanomaterials for three different applications. One is the gas sensor, but here as the major concern it is there for the energy, that is solar cell and the supercapacitor. So solar cell which converts the light into the electricity, and supercapacitor, whatever the energy it is converted or whatever energy that you have that can be stored inside the device. So I made the outline for this talk. It is introduction of the nanomaterials, little bit brief idea about the nanomaterial, introduction of the supercapacitor, and how chemical method can be applied, and how the chemical method are simple so that it is easy to access. And then also we will talk about the supercapacitor basics so that you can understand a little bit the supercapacitor thing and how we can apply that nanomaterial for device grade application, that is flexible solid state supercapacitor. Am I audible clearly, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please continue.
Thank you.
Please continue.
Yeah, because outside it is too much raining.
But here that is very please continue.
So nano, it is a Greek word. Everybody knows that is called as a dwarf, right? And it is the manipulation of the matter. So whenever you are working on the nano, you should think to have the size less than 100 nanometer. And if your size is less than, for example, 10 nanometer, then you can think about the quantum dots. So basically, the size of the particle plays very important role for many device grade application. Same in case of solar cell, same in case of supercapacitor. So you can work on the nanomaterial. So what is the nanotechnology? So nanotechnology means whatever the material you are using and you are synthesizing, that may be in the nano form, right? And that you can assemble, that can form as a bulk material. And that if you are using for the technology development, that it is called as a nanotechnology. So in basically, we can say that is the creation of the useful or functional material, devices or systems of any size through controlled manipulation of the matter on the nanometer length scale. That is the most important. So that whatever the phenomenon may be occurring inside that one, that may be different phenomena may be there. So the property can be changed drastically based on this nanometer length scale. That is called as a nanotechnology. And this is short definition of the nanotechnology. So if you think about the size and scale. For example, if you are using just water at the macro scale, so it is a lubricant, right? But if you go little bit lower side, then it can be adhesive. And that is the beauty of the nanomaterial. And good example, it is CdSe, cadmium selenide, right? If you have the cadmium selenide without changing the material, I'm once again repeating, without the changing material, cadmium selenide, it is possible to alter the properties of that material. So that if you are having the size maybe 2 nanometer and you can vary, for example, up to 8 nanometer, the color of the cadmium selenide, it is possible to change. Color means what? It belongs to the optical property. Not only optical property, it is possible to change the electrical property as well. So it depending upon the size of the particle. So size of the particle matters a lot for changing the property that can be concerned, right? That you can play with that one for the different device grade application. So whatever the property it is there, for example, you can think about the physical property. Those who are chemists, they can think about the chemical property, electrical property, mechanical property, optical property, or magnetic property. So depending upon what type of application it is concerned, you can tune these properties depending upon the size of the particle or material that you are embedded inside the bulk of that material. So for example, if you take the gold, right, everybody has seen that gold, it is yellow in color, right? But if you change the size of the particle, the color of the gold can be possible to change. Not only this one, you can have the bulk gold, which is having melting point above 1000 degrees Celsius, right? And if you change the particle radius, for example, below 3 nanometer, we can think about suppose 2 nanometer, it is possible to reduce drastically the melting point, half of its original value, so that you can reduce up to 500 degrees Celsius. And that is the beauty of the nanotechnology or nanomaterial. So you can play with that one. So basically why these properties are changing. So if you think about the bulk, right, and you can take the bulk, basically it belongs to the physics. Yes. So basically it changed the density of states against the energy. So if you are thinking about the bulk, it is a 3-dimensional. So you can restrict the 1 dimension so that it can form 2 dimension. So it can be thin film. Again, you are taking X, Y, Z axis in your hand, and now you have changed the Z axis so that it can form X and Y. It is a 2-dimensional. Now again, you are reducing 1 dimension. That is maybe.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
A lot of background noise is coming.
So, sir, I have a question. Are you still on first slide? I think you have moved, right?
Yes, I have already moved.
Yes, but we see only the first slide. So can you please, reshare your screen? Yes, I can see now.
Now it is working. Now it is working. Okay.
Can I? But I think animation it is not possible. Can you see this one?
See now. I can see now, sir.
Yes. Check the next slide, previous slide, this one.
No.
No?
Oh, I think it is again stuck.
Then I can go with this one, I think.
Now I can see what is nanotechnology.
Yeah. Okay. But I think that slide maybe animation may not work, but still we can go with this one.
Okay.
This full screen, it is there now?
Yeah, it is there.
Okay. Because I made some animation so that I think inside this one, if a slideshow is not there, I think it may not be possible to see. But it's okay. So you can see this one, right? So
yeah, this is visible. Please continue.
So whenever we are thinking about the change of the size of the material, you can take the bulk, and if suppose bulk means what? It is 3-dimensional. You can reduce 1 dimension, maybe Z-axis, so that it can form 2 dimension that we can say as a thin film. Now here I'm going to talk about the thin film, right? But here, whatever the thin film it is there, it is embedded with the different size of the particle. Again, if you are restricting the another dimensions, right, that may be suppose Y-axis, that you can get the nano-Y. And if you are restricting the third axis as well, that is the X-axis, then you can get the quantum dot. Basically, inside this one, the density of states against the energy function is going to alter. Because of that one, the property of the material, it is going to alter, so that you can change the property. For example, if you take simply lead sulfide, that is PBS material, which is usually used as an IR sensor, The bulk band gap of the lead sulfide, it is 0.4 electron volt. So if you change the size of the particle, it is possible to alter the band gap, and it is possible to enlarge the band gap up to 1.3 to 1.4 electron volt if you are reducing the particle size. And that is the beauty of the nanomaterial. So here, just like a band gap, you can change the band gap. Means what? It is possible to change the color of that material, right? And that is the beauty. So here you can think whether it is so complicated to work on nano. So everybody is thinking that you need some sophisticated instrumentation, right? So that you can synthesize the nanomaterial, and then it is possible only when you can have a sophisticated instrumentation, so that you can have your nano in your hand. At the end of this talk, you can get certain answer, right? So here I made this one title. Everybody has seen the Three Idiots movie, right? So here they have given that chase excellence, success will follow you, right? So inside this one, I made the title chase quantum, nano will follow you. Means whenever you are thinking about the nano, don't think about nano, try to quantum, right? So that it is possible that you can get nano in your hand. So answer is try to do simple things in a simple way, learn more, use to apply, and it can be possible that more complicated things can be done in a simple way. And most important thing, it should be applicable for the society. Nanomaterial based on what? That answer you should get. Can I do? How? By which method? And most important, how you can apply this for device grade application. And inside this topic, it is for the supercapacitor. So here I will show you certain materials that we have applied for the supercapacitor application inside this one. So nanomaterial by which method? Actually, whenever we are synthesizing the nanomaterial, we should think about low cost method, that may be chemical method which can be applied for the supercapacitor application. So there are two approaches are there, and basically we are working on thin film. There are two approaches. One is called as a top-down approach. Top-down approach means what? You can take bulk material in your hand, then you can do crushing, grinding, ball milling, right? Then you can go up to the lower dimensions. But here controlling the size of the particle, it is very, very difficult. And keeping the uniformity of the size also, it is equally difficult. So instead of this one, if you are using solution chemistry, that is called as a bottom-up approach. So bottom-up approach means what? You can grow the material from bottom to top. That is the idea, and where you can use the solution chemistry. Although some people may be from the chemistry background, some people may be physics backgrounds, right? So whenever you are thinking about the research, you can think about the chemistry part, you can think about the physics part, not only physics and chemistry, you can also think the engineering part, so that it can be applicable for the society. So whenever you are working on any different application or diverse device grade application, you should keep in 3 points in your mind. One is the material, second one is the process, and third one is the property. So whenever we are thinking about the material may be nanoparticle, maybe nanowire, maybe quantum dot, maybe nanotube, right? That you can possible to synthesize, right? That are the different form of the material it is there. So whenever you are thinking about the material, how to synthesize that one. So if you are choosing any process or deposition method or deposition technique, that process should be low cost, simple, and most importantly, whenever you are using the raw material, that should be easily accessible. For example, for silicon solar cell, I am working on silicon solar cell, then I need a silicon. Is it possible that you can get very pure silicon easily? Answer is no. You should have much sophisticated instrumentation so that you can acquire that silicon in a very pure form. So whenever you are thinking about any process or method, whatever the raw material that it is required, that should be easily accessible. So that whatever the property it is desired for that specific application, that is possible to alter. That may be thermal property, that may be electrical property, that may be mechanical property, that may be optical property. So that this property can be tuned depending upon what type of the application you are using. For example, if I am using for the solar cell, I can think about the optical band gap, right? So similarly for supercapacitor, there are certain criteria are required so that you can tune the property. That is based on the material type of the process that you are going to adopt, and whatever the property it is desired for that specific application. For inside this case, it is for the supercapacitor. So whenever you are doing this research, right? For example, for supercapacitor, you should have the background for the R&D, that is basically chemistry, and you should have the physics background so that you can synthesize the material, you can characterize the material, and then you can apply that one. Basically, I belongs to the physics, but we are doing a lot of chemistry part, not too much organic part, but mostly inorganic part, which is easier for the physics people, right? And those are having chemistry background, they can do easily. So here it is concerned about the energy storage by means of supercapacitor. So maybe inside many lectures or inside this one, you may heard about the supercapacitor, but just I can revise that one. So supercapacitor, it represents a new generation of electrochemical energy storage device, which is having high energy density than the ordinary capacitor and high power density than the battery. So what is energy? Energy means what? It is the capacity to do the work. And power means how fast you are delivering that energy for the different application. So basically, it bridges the gap between the batteries and the conventional capacitor, that is supercapacitor. And presently, most of the researchers, they are focusing to improve the energy density so that it is possible to replace the battery. As I already told, that battery can withstand for 3 to 4 years, and if you are using the supercapacitor, the life may be enhanced to certain years. Advantage being higher power density, long cycle life, and it is safer operation as compared to the battery. Because for the most of the liquid batteries, we are using some acids. So it is possible to replace inside this type of supercapacitor. So still some limitations are also there so that everybody can think to work on that one so that it can be applicable for the society. So in order to differentiate between this capacitor, supercapacitor, battery, and fuel cell, this is the most important part called as a Ragon plot. So you can think about the specific power against the specific energy. Specific power can be measured in watt per kg and specific energy can be measured in watt hour per kg. So whenever you are thinking about the battery, it is supplying constant but less power required for larger time, right? It is like a marathon runner. But supercapacitor, it is concerned, it is in between the capacitor and battery. For example, capacitor can give the very high power, but very short instead of time. Of course, you require very less time to charge, right? And for battery, you require more time to charge, and also delivery it is for longer time. For capacitor, it is very short time. So supercapacitor, it is an intermediate between the capacitor and battery by using different parameters, so that we can say supercapacitor may be like a short runner, maybe 200 meter race may be there, right? So where that application it is concerned, there you can use. So in order to categorize this one, or you can differentiate this one supercapacitor on the capacitor and battery, here we can think that there are different parameters, one called as a charging time. So for the capacitor, you require the charging time very less, that may be in millisecond to microsecond. And for battery, you require certain minutes to certain hours. But supercapacitor can charge within some minutes, right? Similarly, for the discharge time, the same thing. Energy density, it is in between the battery and the capacitor. So it bridges the gap between the battery and the capacitor. So it can be in watt hour per kg. And whatever the power density it is concerned, that is also in between the battery and the capacitor. And most important, cycle life you are thinking, cycle life it is very high as compared to the battery, but of course it is lesser than the capacitor, no doubt. And charging and discharging efficiency, it is also moderate in between the capacitor and the battery. And these are the commercially available capacitor. These are the bootstrap, it is a super capacitor, and here last one it is the battery. But here, whatever bootstrap and the companies are available for the super capacitor, basically they are using the liquid. So my talk it is concerned that it is possible to whether it is possible to develop the solid state super capacitor or not by using simple solution chemistry in the laboratory. So these are the applications are concerned for the supercapacitor for various power devices like maybe tram may be there, right? Then maybe lead it is there. Then rotor it is there in the turbine. It is possible. And nowadays they are using for the street lighting also in Japan. Not only this one, supercapacitor, there is also a name called as a ultra capacitor. So Maxwell they have provided and bus it is running on this one. Nowadays, people are using the supercapacitor in mobiles, also Airbus, right? Not only this one, in China, Shanghai, they have taken the bus where battery it is replaced by supercapacitor. Then supercapacitor need very short charging time, maybe certain minutes may be there. So when people are riding inside the bus gets charged and it can go to the next station where it can be discharged. Again for the next stop, again it can be get charged. So that is the beauty of this supercapacitor. Means whenever you have certain application for low distances, there you can apply this type of supercapacitor. And people are thinking to increase the energy density so that completely possible that battery can be replaced with this type of supercapacitor. As a modern technology, this supercapacitor are having lot of application in flexible electronics, flexible clothes, right? So you can think about how to do the flexible devices so that you can bend that device, right? Which can have a modern application, maybe for microelectronics or maybe for where bendable approach may be there, right? And wearable cloth may be there. There you can use this type of device. Here you can see that the supercapacitor can be used in the wearable clothes as well so that you can charge also and it can be possible to use for many applications, right? So supercapacitor basic that it is concerned that I can go a little bit fast, that if you are thinking about the capacitor means what? You have two electrodes where it is sandwiched between here whatever the dielectric media it is there, and you can use the relation that is capacitance equal to area into dielectric constant and distance between two electrode it is at the lower side. Yes, am I audible? Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible. You are audible. Please
And
continue.
so yeah, PPT is visible, right?
Yeah, it is visible. It is
Yes.
visible.
So D is the distance between the two electrodes. So you can play with this D inside this one in case of supercapacitor as well, because if you are decreasing the D value, capacitance can be increased. And basically you are using the dielectric material inside this one. The same case we are using the dielectric material in a supercapacitor for the solid state device as well. So this is basically design. It is there for the supercapacitor. It is same as that of the capacitor, and you are using certain dielectric as a separator in between. So whenever you are thinking about the supercapacitor, basically there are two types of supercapacitor that can be categorized, called as the EDLC type supercapacitor, and second one is called as a pseudo capacitor. EDLC means what? Whatever the storage mechanism involves charge separation at the electrode-electrolyte interface, and mostly carbon-based material that are used for this EDLC type material. For example, if you think about carbon aerogel, carbon nanotube, then graphite it is there, then whatever the carbon-based material it is there, it is mostly used as a EDLC type material, where there is an electron hole it is there, which is act as a at the interface at the active carbon region. So whatever the process it is there, it is called as a surface area reaction, but it suffers the low capacitance. That is the drawback of the EDLC type material. So only it is the surface electric charge separation it is there. Of course, we are using the carbon-based material means what? It is having low resistance. But advantage is that it is having very high stability. Then another type it is there called as a pseudo, where there is a Faraday reaction it is there. So mostly metal oxides, polymer, metal sulfide, metal chalcogenide, these are being used for the pseudo type of the capacitor, where there are positive ion and negative ion that are being utilized inside this one. Also, you can use hydroxide, you can dope with hydroxide with different material. Professor Pandey is also working on this hydroxide type of material so that it is possible to dope by using different material. So it is a surface and bulk region reaction it is there where it is high capacitance it is concerned, right? But the stability of this pseudo capacitor it is less as compared to the EDLC. So you can think to work on the EDLC and pseudo capacitor, but you should think about what are the advantages and disadvantages of each type of capacitor. So basically, two electrode it is required inside this one. One it is working electrode whenever you are using in the liquid configuration, means you can dip your electrode inside the liquid, and then it can be act as an active electrode called as a working electrode. Then you can use as a reference electrode, and then you can think to characterize this type of electrode in case of liquid configuration. But whenever you are using the solid state device, both electrodes are of the same type. Instead of that counter electrode, you can use the same type of active electrode, or you can use the different type of active electrode so that it can form either symmetric or asymmetric mode. that type of supercapacitor it is there. So here basically two electrodes are there inside this one. So you can calculate the capacitance as C1, C2 divided by C1 plus C2. So depending upon whether symmetric or asymmetric, the capacitance can be calculated as if C1 equal to C2 for the symmetric mode, you can have the C total equal to 1/2 C1. And whenever you are thinking about asymmetric capacitor, then you can think about the capacitance which electrode possesses higher, that it can be counted so that you can have the C total equal to the lower capacitance value as the C2 inside this case whenever you are thinking about the asymmetric type of capacitor. So basically, whenever you are working on the supercapacitor, you require the potentiostat for R&D purpose. So potentiostat, galvanostat can be used, and we are using Farstat 4000 US, that is from USA. So working electrode is whatever the material it is synthesized. Then we are using counter electrode as a platinum wire and reference electrode as a AgAg cell. This is for the liquid cell, no doubt. Then actually you can work on I versus V characteristics, right? Where you can get this type of curve, like in a magnetism, you are getting some hysteresis curve. Same curve it is possible to get inside this one. So that area under the curve gives the specific capacitance. So whether it is EDLC or pseudo, UDLC you can get exactly square type of curve, and if you are getting certain peaks depending upon the oxidation and direction, it is for the pseudo type of behavior. Then area under the curve can be used to calculate the specific capacitance by using the formula 1 upon mv into delta V, and integral part, sorry, V1 to V2, that is IV dV. So whatever the mass of the active material it is loaded on the electrode, it is most important parameter inside this one, and area under the curve inside this one, and whatever the window it is there. Here inside this curve it is 0 to 0.5, means 0.5 it is a potential window for that supercapacitor. So if you require 1.5 volt or whatever 2 volt it is there, you should work that whatever the window should be increased. Then another parameter it is there, that is charge discharge curve, so that you can use the charge discharge curve, so that whether it is type of what type of supercapacitor it is there, whether it is EDLC or pseudo, then you can get the different behavior, and then it is possible to calculate the capacitance, that is I divided by dV by dt. It is same relation as that of the previous, right? But it is little bit modified. And for the pseudo, you can have the same, that is C equal to delta T I divided by delta V. Both relations are same, right? But it is little bit modified inside this case. Then how to calculate the energy density and power density? So energy density, it is simply 1/2 CV square, so that you can use the mass of the active material it is loaded, and then whatever the potential window it is there, that is 1/2 C divided by M delta V bracket square, that is used for the energy density. And for power density, you can use delta V square divided by 4M ESR. So ESR value, it is very important inside this one. If you are thinking about the capacitor possesses very low value of the ESR, right? But here, if you are thinking about power density, if you increase the power density of the supercapacitor, ESR value should be low, right? So usually, whatever the power density it is there, it can be taken as an average energy density divided by delta T. That is the time constant may be there for the specific supercapacitor. So basically, these relations are going to be used, and you can get this all things from the paper as well. And there is very good book. It is called as a B. Conway from the supercapacitor. So whenever you are thinking to increase the energy density, right? If you want to increase the specific capacitance or capacitance, we can say, what you have to think? You should work on the specific surface area, porous size, electrical conductivity, and redox capacitance. So basically, whenever you are thinking about the porous size and specific surface area, you should think about the nanomaterial. So nanomaterial can give very high porous size as well as high surface area, so that you can use for the supercapacitor application to increase the energy density. Right. And inside this formula, another parameter is there, that is 1/2 CV square. C it is already we have mentioned. And what about V? Potential window, if you want to increase, then you can use the organic electrolyte, you can use ionic liquid, or you can use asymmetric type of supercapacitor, so that you can play with the voltage window. Not only this one, all these parameters are listed for the electrolyte and whatever the supercapacitor it is there, like capacitance, ESR value, thermal stability, energy density, and cycle life it is there, because whatever the supercapacitor you fabricated, it should run for a longer time and many times. so that it can run maybe 5,000. Yes, it can be run for 5,000 cycle or 10,000 cycle, so that its life may be very high and as well as power density. So capacitors, depending upon ion size, matching between the pore size and ion size, right? ESR, then thermal stability, whether it is boiling point, freezing point, salt stability, it is there. Then whenever you are thinking about energy density, electrochemical stability, whatever the concentration that we are going to use for the electrolyte, then cycle life, whatever the stability it is there, ion electrode interfacial interaction it is there, right? Lot of things you have to play with this one whenever you're thinking about the research that is the high quality it is concerned. So you can think about all these parameters in your mind. So whenever we are thinking about the supercapacitor, again, the cost, method, availability, and domestic use, that has to be concerned whenever you are thinking about the supercapacitor as well. So supercapacitor, just we have said that it is divided into two parts, EDLC and pseudo, right? And there is one type, it is called as a hybrid, so that you can combine the advantage of the EDLC and the pseudo. So whatever the advantage of the EDLC it is there, it is what the advantage being, it is a long-term stability, and pseudo advantage being the high capacitance. And if you combine these two properties in terms of the hybrid capacitor, so that the property can be enhanced. So whenever you are thinking about EDLC type of material, you can use the carbon nanotube, graphene you can use, carbon aerogel you can use, or activated carbon it can be used. Dimensions are different, it can form 1D to 3D. And cost issue, it is also different. You can synthesize the material or you can procure that material which is at a lower cost. Synthesizing carbon, activated carbon, it is much more easy. You can use different carbon-based material, or you can just burn the organic plant or plants are there, and so it is possible to have the activated carbon. Yes. Hello. Hello.
Dr. Anil Gopal Patil, please mute your mic and this video. Sir, please continue.
Okay. So whenever we are thinking about the advantage of the composite, we can think about CNT, it is having high stability and conductivity. So we are working on the composite type of material. And also if you are thinking about the pseudo type, you can use the metal oxide, metal chalcogenide, or polymer, so that it is having high capacitance. So whatever the composite it is there, it can have the improved electronic conductivity, well-directed conducting path, and it can have the dual storage mechanism. So material requirement it is there as it is higher conductivity, large surface area, good chemical stability, and good reversibility. These are the basic 4 criteria are there. And another with this one, having higher oxidation state, it is also important for pseudo type of material, so that you can have the high capacitance. So basically we are focusing on the surface architecture, so that we are using some certain nanomaterial. So what we are using as a electrode, that we have conducting substrate. For example, we are using stainless steel as a simple conducting substrate, which is available in the market. Depending upon type of the grade and depending upon the purity, you can choose like 306 stainless steel it is there, right? So stainless steel, depending upon the thickness, you can bend or not bend, it is possible, so that you can think about the flexible electrode for the device application. Then on this one, we are depositing different nanoflakes, we are depositing nanoparticle, we are depositing nanowires, we are depositing nanowire in the form of core and shell. Core means what? Inside one material, and above that one another material, so that it can form the core shell. And also we are depositing carbon nanotube, which is commercially available by using simple solution chemistry. Then carbon nanotube, it possesses the EDLC type. Then if you want to have the composite, again you can combine this carbon nanotube with nanoflakes, nanoparticle, quantum dots, or maybe you can combine with the polymer, so that you can get the dual storage mechanism, so that property can be enhanced drastically. Actually, I made this animation, but here inside this slide show it is not possible. So how we have done the carbon nanotube coating? Simply you can think about deep and dry coating technique. So deep and dry coating means what? Actually, this is animation. You can use the solution of the carbon nanotube, and then you can dip the substrate inside the carbon nanotube solution, so that you can take out the substrate, and then carbon nanotube, it can be coated on the substrate surface. And depending upon number of dips and how you are drying that one, that plays very important role, so that you can alter for the thickness of the carbon nanotube on the substrate surface. So here, that is simply deep and dry coating, how you are immersing, right? How much drainage rate it is there, how much evaporation rate it is there, right? That change the property of the carbon nanotube. So you can play with the concentration, how much concentration it is there, solvent, what type of solvent you are taking, what type of temperature that you are using, immersion and drainage rate may be there, and type of the substrate that you are going to use. So here we are using deep and dry coating, and type of, depending upon the type of substrate, whether it is hydrophilic or hydrophobic, you can play with the carbon nanotube coating on the substrate surface. So we are also using electrochemical activation, surface passivation, nucleation, center formation, so that you can use simply stainless steel, which can be dipped inside the dispersed carbon nanotube, and then you can take out and you can dry inside the IR lamp, right? And depending upon number of cycle, thickness can be varied. And this is the carbon nanotube, which is coated on the stainless steel substrate. And here you can see the scale bar, it is 300 nanometer, and very uniformly coating it is there with very high surface area. Whatever the empty space it is there, it is possible to fill with the metal oxide, metal polymer, metal oxides, polymers, metal chalcogenide, right? So that you can work on a dual storage mechanism. Actually, animation it is there, but we missed this one. So these are the different substrates that we have used for different applications, like FTO, fluorine doped tin oxide, PET it is there, glass it is there, stainless steel it is there, PVC it is there. So we have optimized this coating of the carbon nanotube depending upon what type of the substrate that we are choosing. And for the supercapacitor application, we are using stainless steel as a substrate, so that you can possible to have the bending. So first approach it is there. I will highlight certain materials so that you can get certain idea that how we can synthesize the metal chalcogenide or polymer or metal oxides on the carbon nanotube, so that you can have a symmetric type of device or asymmetric type of device, so that you can work on the supercapacitor application. So basically the first material that I have chosen as vanadium sulfide. So why vanadium it is chosen? Because it is having higher oxidation state, right? So it can show better performance in terms of the specific capacitance, and it is embedded on the carbon nanotube, which is already just I have shown you, which is deep and dry coating. And for vanadium sulfide, we have chosen CELAR method. So that CELAR means what? Successive ionic layer adsorption and reaction method. So basically the CELAR means what? There is a cation, there is anion. So cation it is vanadium, anion is sulfur ions, so that you can dip the substrate inside the cationic solution. Sir, can we check whether animation is working or not? This slide is visible?
Yeah, slide is visible, but animation is not. It is working. It is working probably.
So I can check that whether it is working or not. Can you see the slide?
Slide is visible. Slide is visible.
Now this animation.
Please go on. Let us see. Probably it is not working.
It is not working. Okay, I think because of Microsoft, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, because in WebEx and Google, everything it is working.
Yeah.
Okay, I can skip.
So I think animation will work in full screen mode.
This one is full screen mode.
No, it is not full screen.
No,
I made this is a full screen. That is slideshow.
Yeah. So
here.
Please continue. Please continue. Yeah.
Okay. So here inside this one, as one is cationic and another one is anionic. For the vanadium, we have used the vanadium that is with the 2+ state, right? And so if you have the substrate with the carbon nanotube, we have dipped inside the cationic solution, so that vanadium ion gets adsorbed on the carbon nanotube. Then we have rinsed inside the ion exchange water. So whatever unadsorbed ions are there, that can be removed. And then whatever the vanadium with 2+, it is reacted with S2- ions. So finally, you can get vanadium sulfide on the carbon nanotube. And interestingly, whatever carbon nanotube, it is coated on the stainless steel. And we have deposited vanadium sulfide by using CELAR method, that is successive ionic layer adsorption and reaction method. And most important is that whatever vanadium sulfide we received is having hexagonal shape. That is the interesting thing, it is there. And why hexagonal shape, that I can explain you in the next slide. So here this is X-ray diffraction pattern and XPS it is there, so that whatever vanadium sulfide that we got with the hexagonal crystal structure, and in order to see the oxidation state, that is whatever the force plus oxidation state is there, we have done certain XPS analysis to confirm whatever the oxidation state of the vanadium and sulfur it is there. So vanadium is present in the V4 plus state as well as 3 plus state, so that it can have a better specific capacitance. Then here you can see that this is a surface morphology through SEM analysis. This is a carbon nanotube. This is vanadium coated on the stainless steel without carbon nanotube. Image B, it is a vanadium sulfide which is coated on the stainless steel without carbon nanotube, and you can see that these are smaller particles are there which is coated on the stainless steel. But whenever we are coating this vanadium sulfide on the carbon nanotube, you can see in the last image, this is very uniformly coated on the carbon nanotube, so that whatever this high surface area it is there, it can be utilized for the supercapacitor application. But just I told you that this vanadium sulfide, it is having hexagonal shape, but in the SEM analysis with the scale bar of 200 nanometer, it is not possible to see this one. So next image here, you can get certain idea that this is a HRTM analysis, so that this is the carbon nanotube, these are the particles on the carbon nanotube, and here you can see that in the image B, these are the darker things it is there, it is a vanadium sulfide, and it is having hexagonal shape, right? Still in this last image, in the image C, you can see this is exactly hexagonal shape, it is there on the carbon nanotube. And here this is at the interface, that between the carbon nanotube and the vanadium sulfide. So basically this vanadium sulfide, it is there, it is having two stable structure. One is called as a trigonal structure and second one is the hexagonal structure. As this CELAR method we have used, that is the monolayer formation, that is cation and anions are there, you are controlling at the ionic level, so that vanadium reacting with the sulfur. So there is a formation of the monolayer at the one cycle, one CELAR cycle, right? And if you repeat that CELAR cycle, the growth of the particle can be enhanced. Means at the monolayer you can control, right? So CELAR, it favors for the hexagonal forms of the VS2 at the initial stage of the growth, because carbon nanotube, it is having certain hexagonal shape it is there, right? So initially that hexagons it is developed on the carbon nanotube, right, because of the used monolayer formation, and because of that one we observed the hexagonal structure of the vanadium sulfide on the carbon nanotube because of the dual things. One is because of the use of the carbon nanotube and because of the use of the CELAR method. So that is the beauty of this work. So we have done certain elemental analysis to see whether vanadium it is there, sulfur it is there, carbon it is there, right? So that you can confirm that how it is coating uniformly or homogeneously, we can say more specifically for this vanadium sulfide. Then we applied this one for the liquid configuration, means we used single electrode deep inside the electrolyte, another electrode it is platinum, right? And we also use reference electrode, and then we use some certain study in the liquid configuration to optimize this performance. So this is specific current versus potential. The black color, you can see that this is for the carbon nanotube, which is having very less area under the curve. And whenever we have vanadium sulfide only, the area it is little bit larger. But whenever we are coating vanadium sulfide on the carbon nanotube, the area under the curve, it enlarges drastically. So that is the beauty whenever you are using the dual material, one is EDLC and another one is a pseudo, so that the specific capacitance can be enhanced. And here you can see that the specific capacitance, it is reached to 830 farad per gram at 2 millivolt per second. And this is the reduction oxidation kinetics, it is there. And we have checked this one stability up to 10,000 cycles. Just imagine for 10,000 cycles repeatedly, means charging, discharging, that is CV cycle, it is there up to the 10,000 cycle. And you can see that it is more than 95% stability it is there. And it is very stable up to the 10,000 cycle. And that is the beauty of this vanadium sulfide. Then also we have done certain charge discharge studies for this one, and with respect to the different current density, and we observed the specific capacitance about 706 Faraday per gram. So specific capacitance, it is possible to calculate by CV, cyclic voltammetry, as well as the charge discharge study. So most important thing is that whatever the study we have performed, it is based on the liquid, that we use liquid electrolyte. But whenever you are using liquid in any type of device, it can have the liquid evaporation. You need perfect sealing, right? And if imperfect sealing it is there, then leakage of the electrolyte may be there, so that it can damage not only your device, but whatever the device you are using in the electronic part or wherever part it is may be there, a whole part can be get damaged, right? And also interaction of the liquid it is there with the sample and with the substrate if you are using for longer time. So basically you can have the long-term stability issue. So whatever the industries are there, that industry they are using this liquid, and now research it is going on to form the complete solid state device, so that whatever complete device it is there, it is free from the liquid, right? So that you can overcome this issue it is there for the long-term stability. So how to do that one? It can be done in the solid state configuration. So instead of using one electrode, you can use two electrodes. Means instead of platinum, you can use both the vanadium sulfide, which is coated with the carbon nanotube as a one electron, and another electrode it is same. If both electrodes are same, we can say as a symmetric device. If both electrodes are same, we can say as a symmetric device. So what we have done, we have taken the stainless steel, coated with the carbon nanotube, vanadium sulfide it is coated. The same electrode also we have used, and in between these two electrodes, we have used conducting electrolyte as a LiClO4. Actually, we have tested with a different electrolyte, no doubt, right? So LiClO4, it is a conducting electrolyte. Now you can think what is the dielectric media. Because for the capacitor or supercapacitor, we require certain dielectric media, right? So here we have used certain polymer called as a polyvinyl alcohol. This is a non-conducting media, right? And we have done certain gel, that is LiClO4, it is dissolved inside the PVA. That is the conducting electrolyte dissolved in a non-conducting media, so that it forms the matrix embedded with the conducting ions, and that we have purged inside the between the two electrodes. That is sandwiched by using this gel between these two electrodes. Then we have pressed that one for overnight by using certain pressure, so that whatever this gel it is there, it can penetrate inside the high surface area of the carbon nanotube, which is coated with the vanadium sulfide. This is then this two electrode it is there. Then we have use certain Tixo tape, right? There is no proper sealing, just we have used Tixo tape, and this is one electrode and this is another electrode. So having the dimensions, this is about 3 by 5 by 3 by 5 centimeters square. And this electrode we have tested for this one, means this is large area, right? Again, we have done specific current versus voltage, and here you can see that the potential window of the completed device, it is about 1.6 electron, 1.6 volt completed device, because this is symmetric mode. The device shows the potential window of 1.6 volt. So whenever you are having application, for example, battery cell or whatever it is there, it is taking the voltage as a 1.5 volt, right? And this device, it shows 1.6 volt. Means whatever applications are concerned with 1.5 volt, there you can use this type of the storage device. And we have calculated the specific capacitance, which is about 182 farad per gram at 2 millivolt per second. And also, it is whatever the solid state device it is formed, it shows the cycle stability about 93% for 5,000 cycle, and that is the beauty of vanadium sulfide. So we have used this one device which is connected. Two devices are connected in the series, right? And here you can see this is VNIT panel. These are the VNIT panel consisting of 21 red LEDs, and we have run up to 60 seconds. We have charged for short time, and then it is discharged through this panel, and it is run up to the 60 seconds. This result, it is published, just vanadium sulfide it is there, right, in the on the stainless steel that we have published inside the Journal of Energy Chemistry. And when we have coated this vanadium sulfide on the carbon nanotube, we have seen it is having a hexagonal shape, and this was published inside the ACS Applied Material and Interface Journal. Right, and we have focused the hexagonal shape of the vanadium sulfide anchor on carbon nanotube. Yes. And this journal, it is very reputed, having the impact factor above 9. So it is a ACS journal. So all this work it is published in, one is Journal of Energy Chemistry and one is in the Applied Material and Interface. So next approach it is there, that is vanadium oxide. So same vanadium it is there we have used, right? But here we have formed the oxide, because oxides are much more stable than the sulfide or chalcogenide, we can say. And also here we have done symmetric supercapacitor, but instead of sealer, we have used chemical bath deposition. So what is chemical bar deposition? Inside this one, whatever the cation and anion we are placing together inside one bath, inside one beaker, right? Simply you can have one beaker, you can place vanadium sulfate, you can place NaOH solution, right? From NaOH you can get certain oxide part, right? And then vanadium it react with the oxide part, and then you can use this one at a certain temperature, and we have used at a 60 degrees Celsius. Carbon nanotube coated on the stainless steel substrate, we have dipped inside this one for at the 60 degrees Celsius for certain time, and we have seen that vanadium oxide it is coated on the carbon nanotube. So this is surface morphology of the vanadium oxide when you are coating on the stainless steel, and when you are coating on the carbon nanotube, you can see the flakes of the vanadium oxide which is coated on the carbon nanotube, and these are the flakes which are pseudo capacitive coating on the EDLC type of the carbon nanotube having very high surface area. This is the again EDX mapping we have performed to see vanadium oxygen it is there inside this one through the HRTM analysis. Then again we have calculated the specific capacitance, and for vanadium oxide, interestingly, the specific capacitance goes up to 1238 farad per gram. This is very high value reported, 1238 farad per gram, means for 1 gram it giving the value of the specific capacitance about 1000, which is very high value it is there. So not only this one, we have studied this one for 4000 cycle. It also shows the stability about 93%, right, in the liquid cell. This is in the liquid cell, right. Then again we have done certain solid state with the same gel, that is PVA LiClO4, right, as the symmetric device, and we have also checked whether it is possible to bend or not, so that we can form the flexible and solid state supercapacitor device in your hand. So here you can see that how we have made the device. This is one electrode coated with the carbon nanotube, which is deposited vanadium oxide on this one. This is one electrode. We have cut that one. Then we made this certain gel. Then we have sandwich, and this is a finally solid state device which is possible to bend. And here you can see that it is possible to bend this type of device, which is a vanadium oxide, which is coated on the carbon nanotube to form the complete solid state symmetric device. Symmetric means what? Both electrodes are having the same type. And the area we have used as a 3 by 4 centimeter square. This is a larger area. So here you can see that the beauty of the vanadium oxide, it reaches the voltage value up to 1.8 volt. This is very large value it is there in terms of the supercapacitor, single device, symmetric device, not it is asymmetric device. Symmetric device, it gives the voltage up to 1.8 volt, and stability it is much more better than the liquid cell. So it gives the stability about 96% for 4000 cycle. So this is very high value it is there for the solid state device, because this is completely solid state, and as you are using PVA and LiClO4, there is no liquid, right? So conductivity it is much more lesser than the liquid cell in the solid state, because you have completely solid state, it is completely dry, right? Also we have tested this one in series combination and in parallel combination as well, right? And also you can see that there is a increase in the voltage value in the series combination and increase in the capacitance value in the parallel combination. So if you are connecting two devices in series, you can get the voltage up to 3.6 volt. That is the beauty of this one that we have tested for this one. Not only this one, we have calculated the specific capacitance, energy density, power density, and we observe very high value of the specific energy, that is 72 watt-hour per kg, right, at the specific power of 2.3 kilowatt per kg, because of very low resistance that we observe the resistance across the interface between the gel electrolyte and the active electrode. Very low value of the resistance it is there. We have calculated through impedance analysis called EIS, electrochemical impedance, by using two electrode system. So again, the most important that I'm talking about the flexible device. So when you can say that the device it is flexible, means what? You have to bend that device and you can test that device. So at the bending angle, so you can do the mechanical bending. We have done certain mechanical bending at the angle of 175 degree. Please, can you mute your mic? The background sound is coming. Hello.
Okay, please go ahead. I am muted. Please go ahead.
So we have tested this one.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, sir. I am muted.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we have tested this mechanical stability at 175-degree bending angle. So we have bent that device at different angles up to 175 degree, and we have tested the specific capacitance in terms of the capacitive retention, and we observed that it is 90% stable. So whatever flexible device we made, that is stable up to 175-degree bending angle. Not only this one, we have tested that device for 7 days, completely continuous 7 days, and it is very, very stable up to 7 days, right? And also we have run that small device to run the LED panel. And in the next slide, I can show you how this device it is working. Both results are there. Vanadium oxide coated on the stainless steel. It is published inside the Electrochemical Acta. And most importantly, vanadium oxide coated on the carbon nanotube, we have published inside the Nature Scientific Report journal. So this is having the journal with a very high reputation, as it is belongs to the Nature. So this is device. So I can show you the video for this one. This was also published inside the Times of India and local newspaper. This device I have showed in one conference, DST. They have invited me for this conference, and we have demonstrated this device. Is it possible to see this image, sir?
It is possible. Image is
Yes.
visible. Yeah.
Yes. So I have shown this device. They have given one booth so that we can demonstrate the working device, and it belongs to the Technology Mission Division project that I completed. Professor Ashutosh Sharma from Secretary DST, Professor Rao, Director IIT Delhi, he was they were visited the booth and they have seen the working device. Not only this one, Professor Sri V.K. Saraswati, member of Niti Aayog, he has also visited and he has also seen the working device of this one. Just check, sir. This is video is visible.
Probably that it is better that you can go here. Slideshow full screen, that is on the top. If you see, yeah, slideshow full screen. It is there.
From current slide. This
Yeah.
Is it visible?
Oh, nothing is visible there.
I think this maybe Microsoft. I think I don't know what problem is there.
Yeah, maybe. You can click here this play video, that bottom. Yeah.
It is already played.
Okay. But it is not visible here. You have made the slide show and from the current slide, eh?
Yes.
But it is not working.
In my computer it is visible. It is running.
But it is not running here.
Okay,
Maybe
I can.
Yeah.
I can just go out for this one. Here we can check. Can you see video now?
Now it is visible. Now
okay.
It is visible.
So here what we did. Here we have cell, that is 2 cells are there, 1.5 volt each, so that it is 3 volt, right? And this is the black color, it is there, that device we have developed in the laboratory. So this is vanadium coated on the carbon nanotube, one electrode, another electrode same, and we have used PVA LiCl gel in between, and then we have sandwiched together so that it can form the completely solid state device. This device we have charged for short time, right? And then we have discharged this one through the LED panel consisting of 21 red LEDs, right? And here you can see, I can play the video. And this is by using simple solution chemistry, just by beaker and these things, not too much sophisticated instruments, just keep in mind. Is it visible? This device is charging now.
Yeah, it is visible now. Yeah. Now it is working.
So after some time, we have removed this one. And this is less than 1 minute. Charging time, it is less than 1 minute. And you can see that this students, they are working with any this without any gloves or something, right? Still, it can use very good output. Can you see the running panel?
Yeah,
Lightning panel?
it is visible. VNIT is there.
Yes. So it can run up to 5 minutes, right? Because of time limitation, I have not played all the things, but it can run up to 5 minutes. That is the beauty of this one. And the same thing we have published inside this Nature Scientific Report. Next video, it is there. This supercapacitor solid state device I presented in the conference just I said, which is arranged by DST, and I showed this same thing on the booth, right? So we have run a small fan by using vanadium oxide coated on the carbon nanotube. Can you see this next slide, sir? It is written flexible.
It is visible. It is visible.
Okay. So again, this device it is charged and it is used to run the small fan. Here you can see that this is small fan and this is a device. Now it is charging. I will play once again. This is charged now. Switch is on. This is two-way switch. So that from the battery, it is charging now. Now it is making off means what? It is discharging through the fan. You can see that fan it is running. Is it visible clearly?
Yeah, very visible. Yeah.
You can see that for short charging also, it can run for longer time. Yes.
Yeah.
Can I play once again or it is okay?
Yeah, you can run once again. Play it once again.
Yes, very interesting, right? By using simple solution chemistry, it is possible to deposit the material, right? So whenever you are doing the research, the most important thing is that whatever you have done, just you are thinking to just publish, right? So not only think to publish, whatever the thing it is there, it should be applicable to the society. So publication is a one factor, no issue at all. But second thing is that you should get the satisfaction. So whenever your device it is working well, you can get the better satisfaction, better than the publication, right? The same result we have published inside the LED lightning that is in the scientific report. You can get the video online as well, right? But this second video it is not there. The first video it is uploaded on the scientific report journal, right? You can go through that one. You can just type my name on the Google so that you can see that number of publications. You can see the that journal and website so that you can visit that video, right? And that is the beauty of the simple solution chemistry and how it is possible to work on the nanomaterial. So next one, those who are having chemistry people, I don't know, chemistry people are there. Hello. From the participants, chemistry people are also there.
There are some participants from the chemistry side also.
Okay. So basically, I belongs to physics. So whatever the polymer it is there, we have not synthesized, right? But we have procured that one. But those chemistry people, they can synthesize the polymer. They can use for the different application as well, right? So whatever the polymer it is there, we have used that is P.PSS, that is polyethylene deoxythiophene polysulfonated, and we have coated on the carbon nanotube simply by using deep coating technique. So what we have done, carbon nanotube it is a EDLC, polymer it is pseudo, right? And then we have coated carbon nanotube with the polymer, simply dipping technique. Carbon nanotube also by dipping technique, polymer is also by dipping technique. So here you can see that this is carbon nanotube. The second image, it is polymer which is coated on the carbon nanotube. So you can see very uniformly coating of the polymer on the carbon nanotube is possible by using simple dipping technique, because it is a solution. So whatever you are dipping, it is possible to coat, right? And we have coated polymer on the carbon nanotube. And here you can see that the specific capacitance against the scan rate. The lower it is for the CNT and upper it is carbon nanotube coated with the P dot. And by coating with the P dot, the specific capacitance, it is increased drastically, and we reach the value up to 354 farad per gram by coating the polymer on this one. But this, it is in the liquid study. So we have varied how many number of cycle it is there, right? And we have done in the H2SO4 solution. Just to get idea that polymer is also equally important, that you can coat on the carbon nanotube and you can apply by using apply for the supercapacitor application. Not only this one, we did certain asymmetric device. Up till now, whatever vanadium oxide or vanadium sulfide it is there, it is used as a symmetric device. So what the asymmetric device it is there? Asymmetric means what? Two electrodes are of the different type. Two electrodes are of different type. One electrode it is there, one is called as a Fe2O3. And second electrode we have used this polymer which is coated on the carbon nanotube. So this is asymmetric. So what the beauty of the iron oxide? Whatever iron oxide it is there, that iron oxide we observed in the nanorod-like structure, which is coated on the stainless steel. Because here stainless steel it is there, stainless steel acts as a nucleation site for the iron, and we have grown iron oxide in the nanorod-like structure form. This is as a one electrode. Second electrode, it is a carbon nanotube which is coated with the polymer, right? And then we have used the electrolyte, that is CMC with Na2SO3, right? And this is asymmetric type of device it is there. So here you can see that this is a Fe2O3, this is carbon nanotube, and this is a carbon nanotube coated with the polymer. This is with the liquid study. This is a singly Fe2O3. This is carbon nanotube with the P dot PSS, right? But when this shows the voltage window 0.9, 0 to minus 0.9, this is voltage window for one thing. This is voltage window for another thing, from 0 to 0.8. Here you can get in the solid state idea. Here Fe2O3, it is having the voltage window from 0 to minus 0.9. It gives the voltage window 0.9. This is in the negative region. This is in the negative region. And when you have polymer which is coated on the carbon nanotube, it gives the voltage window in the positive region, that is 0 to 0.9. So if you have the one with the positive, one with the negative as an asymmetric device, it is possible to increase the voltage window up to 1.8, which is the addition of this one and this one. So we got the voltage window of 1.8 volt, right, by using a symmetric mode. But here we observe that whatever the drop rate it is there with respect to the scan rate, it is up to 60%, right, that we observed. Not only this one, also we have run small LED by using this device. We have checked for this 1000 bending as well, right? For this one, number of bendings, 1000 means unbend, bend, like that one. 1000 times also we have checked that one, and it is very, very stable. So it is completely flexible, and for 5000 cycle, it gives 75% stability, right? So this is with respect to the bending angle. This is with respect to the number of bendings. So one time bending, two time bending, it is 1000 times bending. So it is very, very stable inside this one. So whatever Fe2O3 and carbon nanotube coated with the polymer, the device shows very high stability. And that is the beauty it is there. And this, it was published inside the Journal of Energy Storage with the impact factor above 6. So the title made, it is winding of the potential window. So because of the addition of these two things, potential window, it is enhanced to 1.8 volt. And that we made the target, and it was published inside this journal. Next, just latest result, that whatever polymer metal oxides we have seen, so some phosphides, right? So it is possible to coat on the carbon nanotube. So what we have done suppose copper phosphide to coat on the carbon nanotube by using simple solution chemistry, right? So what we got on the carbon nanotube, very interesting. So here we have adopted this copper phosphide on stainless steel as well as on the carbon nanotube, and we have compared the result as well, right? And this is the flow chart how we have proceed for this work. So here whatever the copper phosphate it is there, we have used CLR method, simply CLR method. So we have taken the copper nitrate, we have taken the source for the P, right? And we have used the double distilled water as the ion exchange water. So we have used the carbon nanotube, which is coated on the stainless steel substrate, right? And we have dipped inside the copper, then we have dipped inside the P solution, that is KH2PO4 solution, so that you can get Cu2P2O7 on the carbon nanotube. And this is the reaction kinetic, it is there. So how we have proceed with this reaction kinetic. So chemistry people can understand in a better way this reaction kinetics. Then this is X-ray diffraction study for stainless steel with the carbon nanotube, then stainless steel with copper Cu2P2O7, and stainless steel which is combined of the carbon nanotube and C2P2O7 called as the CuCNT. And this is XPS analysis, so that you can see whatever the copper phase and P phase it is there, it is formed, what is the oxidation state it is there. So this is the full spectrum it is there for this material which is developed on the carbon nanotube. So here you can see that this is a carbon nanotube, right? And this is a copper phosphate it is there, Cu2P2O7 on the stainless steel. But whenever we are depositing this copper phosphate on carbon nanotube, we observed that microflower like morphology. Means whatever this morphology it is there, it's get converted to the microflower like morphology. So here you can see that this is the microflowers of the copper phosphate on the carbon nanotube, right? And that is the beauty of this one, that we have seen that whenever you are depositing simply copper phosphate on stainless steel, it shows fibrous like morphology. But whenever you are depositing this copper phosphate on the carbon nanotube, right, you can not only get the fibrous morphology, but you can get the microflower like morphology, right? So we have checked this one in the EDX mapping, right? And so we have done certain elemental analysis, so that you can see the carbon, oxygen, P and O, so that you can get the whatever homogeneous distribution of the material it is there in terms of P, O and Cu, so that you can see how it is homogeneous on the carbon nanotube. So here you can see that this is a carbon nanotube coated with a copper phosphate. Here you can see that Cu2P2O7 on the carbon nanotube, and this is the elemental mapping it is there. So uniform distribution it is there on the elements on the carbon nanotube, and that is required for the supercapacitor application with very high surface area. And this copper phosphate it is there, it is fibrous like network, microflowers are there, it gives very high surface area. Also, we have calculated electrochemical active area. We have also calculated surface area by using BET analysis, right? And we have correlated that one, so that you can see actually how this fibrous morphology gives not only porous area but electrochemical active surface area on the carbon nanotube. So here inside this one, you can see this is Cu2P2O7 on stainless steel, and this is combined. That is the composite it is there, and this is for copper phosphate. And when you are using the composite, the specific capacitance at lower value, this is about 270, it can enhance to 570, right, because of the composite formation. And it shows the voltage window that is from 0.2 to 0.7, right, for this one. Not only this one, we have done some certain charge discharge study also, right, for copper phosphate and copper phosphate coated on the carbon nanotube, and with respect to the different current density. Some background sound is coming.
No, from yeah, there is someone is there. Probably let us check it. Yeah, it is here. It is here. Namrata Saxena. Yeah. Okay, it is okay. Now it is okay, sir. Continue.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
So again, we have done certain symmetric solid state supercapacitor, which is a flexible, right? So we have again taken two electrodes. This is one electrode, two electrodes, then sandwiched together, right? And this is a fabricated complete solid state device in your hand. So the beauty of the solid state device is that whatever the voltage window you got, it is little bit lesser side, 0.9, right? Because it is symmetric. So it is not like vanadium oxide or vanadium sulfide. It gives the voltage window about above 1.5. So voltage window is limited inside this one, and stability we reach for 5000 cycle, it is about 80%. And also we have done some certain charge discharge studies, potential versus time graph from this one. So again, we have done this one with respect to the bending angle, and we have seen that this is close to 100%, up to 170-degree bending angle. So whatever the device that we have formed, it is very, very stable with respect to the bending angle. It is close to 100%. So it is more than 95%, we can say. Stability it is there, although we are bending up to 170 degree. Right, and the same device we have connected, as it is giving 0.9 volt, right? We have connected in series so that you can run that again LED panel, right? And we have run up to 60 seconds, that is 1 minute. This is energy density versus power density, and we have compared our result with already reported phosphide material in the symmetric or asymmetric mode, and we shows very high value of the power density for our material. These are the results for this one. So we observed the 90% stability it is there at 170 degree and 80% after 5,000 cycle. Then last one, it is regarding the, we have talked about the nanomaterial which is deposited on the stainless steel. So we can think whether it is possible that one-dimensional nanowires, is it possible to deposit by using chemical method? Right. Not only this one, is it possible to form the core shell type of morphology, and which can be applicable for the supercapacitor or not? The same thing we have applied for the solar cell as well, like CDS, AZ2S, CDS, CDSC, different type of core shell. But here we have used for the supercapacitor application. Then what we have taken? We have taken cadmium sulfide in the nanowire form. Right, and then we have applied for the supercapacitor application. Just not only nanowire, but we have coated this nanowire with different material to form the core shell type of morphology, so that we have applied for the supercapacitor application. So how we have done? In order to have the nanowire, initially what we have done, we have deposited cadmium sulfide in the compact form, because in the for the supercapacitor application we have used liquid. So liquid should not penetrate through this porous area, right? And we can get certain nucleation side for the cadmium sulfide nanowire. We have deposited cadmium sulfide, this nanopebble like morphology, on the stainless steel. Then we have coated cadmium hydroxide nanowire on this cadmium sulfide nanopebbles. Initially we have deposited cadmium hydroxide. How we have deposited cadmium hydroxide? We have taken ammonia, we have taken cadmium source, that may be cadmium nitrate or cadmium chloride you can take, so that you can end up with the cadmium hydroxide nanowires on the substrate surface at just room temperature. At just room temperature, right? So this is a cadmium hydroxide. So how we have done cadmium sulfide from cadmium hydroxide? Chemistry people can understand in a better way. So cadmium hydroxide, it is having the solubility product, or we can say negative free energy of formation. Solubility product or negative free energy of formation, it is 10 to minus 14. And cadmium sulfide, it is having solubility product 10 to minus 27. It is 10 to minus 27. As more negative means what? More chance to form that material. So from cadmium hydroxide, whatever cadmium hydroxide, we have dipped inside Na2A solution or sulfur solution. We have dipped inside the sulfur solution. So whatever hydroxide part, it is going out, and sulfur part, it is coming in. Very interesting, right? Just by dipping hydroxide, cadmium hydroxide inside the sulfur solution, sulfur from the solution, it is coming inside, and hydroxide part, it is going outside, called as a ion exchange process. Called as a ion exchange process, right? So whatever hydroxide, it is get replaced by sulfide ions by ion exchange. But most important thing is that during this exchange process, whatever the morphology of the cadmium hydroxide, which is in the nanowire form, right, which is not changed, it remains intact, it remains same, right? And means what? Here cadmium hydroxide, it is used as a template for the formation of cadmium sulfide nanowires. Do you understand? Cadmium hydroxide nanowires used as a template to formation of the cadmium sulfide nanowire. So hydroxide get replaced by sulfur, so that at the end we can see that these are the cadmium sulfide nanowires. This is porous cadmium sulfide nanowire, right? And here you can see that This is X-ray diffraction pattern. This is CDS deposited on stainless steel, and this is a cadmium sulfide nanowire. It is there, right? And this is a HRTM analysis, and it is having very high surface area. It is having very high surface area, and this we have used for the supercapacitor application. And we observed that the potential window, it is very high for this one. It is about, you can see that from 0 to minus 1.1 it can go, depending upon type of electrolyte, right? And also we have done certain charge discharge study, but we observed the specific capacitance, it is lesser value inside this one. This is about 170 farad per gram for this one. Not only this one, we observed that the stability issue was there with cadmium sulfide, because we have converted hydroxide part with sulfur ions, right? So it forms some detachment of the cadmium sulfide wire from the stainless steel, and which is responsible for giving lower value of the stability. So we have checked up to only 400 cycles, and it shows a little bit lesser stability for higher cycles. Also, we have calculated the specific energy, specific power, and this all result, it is published inside the chemistry physics letter, that is the pseudo capacitor behavior of unidirectional CDS nanowires or nanoforest in 3D architecture through solution chemistry. And that is the beauty of the solution chemistry, that you can play to deposit nanowires and you can use for different application, right? Then again, this CDS nanowire we have used, and we have used as a core to form HGS as a shell. We have formed CDS as a core with HGS as a shell, so that it can form the core shell. It's inside one material and above which there is another material. In CDS, it is in the nanowire form, and on which we have made certain another material to form the core shell. So this is a nano heterostructure type. If both the conductivity are same, and the conductivity of this one is N type, another one is suppose P type, then we can say this is a nano heterojunction type in the core shell morphology, called as a nano heterojunction, right? Very interesting. So what we have done, we have taken cadmium sulfide, which is already done, right? So we have taken that one and dipped inside the Hg solution, that is the mercury solution, right? How we have converted cadmium sulfide? We have initially taken cadmium hydroxide, converted to the cadmium sulfide by dipping Na2S in the Na2S solution, right? Then whatever CDS it is formed, that we have dipped inside the mercury solution. So mercury sulfide, it is having solubility product, that is 10 to minus 53. CDS it is having minus 27. So some cation of the cadmium sulfide, that is CD, it is get replaced by Hg. Interesting, right? Some cation, that is cadmium ions, are get replaced by Hg ions. So that here you can see that inside it is the CDS, and outer, which is in contact with the Hg solution, CD get replaced by Hg. So outer part it is HGS, inner part it is CDS, right? So whatever inside part it, here you can see HGS as well, because it is covering on the whole surface area. But if you see inside, it is a CDS, but just outside it is only HGS. So we have taken this one CDS in mercury source with different time interval as 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and 60 minutes. So depending upon the time interval, we can alter the thickness of the shell on the CDS core. So thickness of the HGS, it is possible to control inside this one. That is the beauty of the solution chemistry. The same thing we have applied for the supercapacitor application, right? And interestingly, it gives the voltage about 1 volt. That is from 0 to minus 1 volt, right? And this result, it was published inside the nanostructure and nano objects, that is called nested CDS HGS core shell nanowire as a supercapacitor application. So in summary, I can say that not only one material, here you can see the chart, which is the specific capacitance with different materials, right? Those materials we have just published in the last year, it is not reported, right? These are all materials that we work for the supercapacitor application for the energy storage device. This is for the single electrolyte. This is for the electrode inside the electrolyte. This is called liquid configuration. So this is specific capacitance, and here you can see that vanadium oxide, vanadium sulfide, and this HGS on the carbon nanotube, right, shows the higher specific capacitance. So vanadium, up till now, this one vanadium oxide, it shows the highest capacitance from our laboratory, right? That I have presented. Then specific energy also, silver by using electrolysis deposition coated on the carbon nanotube, it shows the highest specific energy. And if you think about the specific power, zinc oxide, which is coated on the carbon nanotube, it shows the very high specific power. So depending upon what type of material you are using, whether it is single material or you can sandwich with the carbon nanotube, right? The value of specific capacitance, specific energy, specific powers are different, right? Not only this one, we form the solid state device, two devices that is sandwiched together. And here you can see that the potential window we have reached for vanadium oxide, it is 1.8, vanadium sulfide 1.6, and most interestingly, iron sulfide, which is deposited on stainless steel, right? In the device, you can see that the voltage window we reached up to 2 volt, very high value. That is, it is reached up to the 2 volt for the solid state device. This is the specific capacitance for complete solid state device, and this is the champion cell. It is there, vanadium oxide coated on the carbon nanotube, which shows very high value of the specific capacitance. Specific energy, vanadium oxide, it is champion 1. Specific power, vanadium sulfide, it is champion 1 in terms of the solid state device. But contrary, you can see that iron sulfide, it is there, although it is having very high value of the potential window, right? But it is having very low value of the specific power and very low value of the specific energy, because this is a single material, right? And this material, it is there, it is a dual, means what? One is pseudo on the EDLC. That's why it is showing very high value of the specific energy. So how you combine with what material, right? What base material you are taking, that also plays very important role. Whether you are taking carbon nanotube, whether you are taking graphene, right, or you are taking activated carbon, that also change the property of the material, right? So these are recent achievements are there. One, just this year we got very good publication in terms of the higher impact. One paper, that is copper phosphate, it is published, that is on the stainless steel, right, in the Chemical Engineering Journal. And this is very high value impact factor journal. It is there, having the impact more than 13. Recently, just vanadium telluride we have made on the carbon nanotube by using simply successive ionic layer adsorption and reaction. And they are not only supercapacitor, but we have done certain DFT studies with help of our collaborator from UK. And this also published inside the journal, having more impact factor more than 13. One review article, it is published inside the Journal of Material Chemistry A. This is a very high value reputed journal from RSC, having the impact factor more than 12. So finally, I wish to acknowledge my students and Technology Mission Division from DST and SARB grant for the financial support to complete this all work. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Now I can say that this is the best presentation so far. That's a very good one.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So now the session is open for the discussion and questions.
Actually, I'm sorry. A lot of animation I made inside this one, so but we missed that one.
Oh, by the way, already that I have stated in your introduction. This is again I am repeating for the participants that on his credit that he has published 151 publications in average impact factor above 4. That is very important one. Average impact factor more than 4. Moreover, that is Google Scholar H index is 40 and having citation more than about 5,000. So with this again remark, this session is open for the discussion and question hours if any participants want to ask. Priyanka? Priyanka Maurya, do you want to ask? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Probably you are interested in sulfide materials, so if you want question, then that is okay. Please raise your hands. It is very easy to raise your hand here in MS Team, so that we can take the questions one by one. Anyway, you can ask later on, no problem. Let others should ask.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
This is my email ID. If you have any queries, you can go through Google Scholar. You can download the paper, right? If you have any queries, you can send email as well.
So let us start the questions from my side. That Professor Sangpal, that a very general question from the participant side that I should ask, that what are material requirements for supercapacitor applications?
Basically, just I already told that whatever material it is there. For example, if you are using either ADLC or pseudo, right, it should have very high surface area. Interconnection of the nanoparticle may be there if you are using nano, right? So surface area plays very important role. Second thing, good reversibility it is also there. Stability issue also it is there. Then if you are using pseudo type, higher oxidation state it is preferred. So it can show very high value of the specific capacitance. So this depending upon what type of material you are using and also what type of method you are using, right? For example, carbon nanotube you are using and you are coating with another material, right? Maybe you can think about the chemical method may be advantageous, right? So that you can get very high surface area, and conductivity is also equally important. But for all material, it is not possible to have conducting. So better conductivity is always preferred.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is, these are the requirements for having this supercapacitor application. Surface is playing a major role. So one has to think that how the surface area that we can increase it. And apart from his presentation, I should add here that Professor Sangpal, he has done also theoretical investigation, and his group has done published a very good work on that one.
Yes, we have one collaborator from UK. Actually, we don't have that much knowledge in the DFT study, but our group partners that is from UK, they are doing very well inside this one.
Personally, that I know that you are having all types of the expertise with you, no problem. So, any other question, please, from the participants?
I think from participant, they should start their work on the based on the nanomaterial by using simple solution chemistry. That is our motto, so that everybody can have research on nano.
Yeah. Nowadays, a lot of researches that has been started, and yeah, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, I want to know that why bending test is done for supercapacitor. Why
Because,
bend?
Yes, because whenever you have device, for example, solar cell it is there or any type of device it is there, right? So if you have mechanical flexibility, then it can, whatever application it is there, it can spread in all areas. For example, nowadays what the electronics, now maybe you can see previously TV was very big, right?
Yes, sir.
Now it is very flat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In future, maybe you can see flexible TV like paper like thing maybe there. Means whatever advancement it is there, right? So it goes towards the flexible electronics or flexible thing it is there.
Yes, sir.
Right. So it is possible that you can use this type of devices in wearable things, maybe in the cloth or whatever the application I show. Right.
Yes.
So
yes.
So we have started with this one for the application, which is maybe going to start in the future or already started some work. Right. I have shown you this this one. Yes, like cloth or something.
Yes.
You can use this type of device. So this is advanced application we can concern. So whenever you are thinking about the research, not think for today's, right? You should think about the future, what the future may be there after certain years, right? Because this is research at the laboratory. So afterwards, it can go to the industry, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, I also want to know that why we consider batteries more than the capacitors. Both do the same work of energy storage, but batteries have a very huge application.
Yes.
Why not supercapacitor?
Because battery can give very high energy density, right? Once you charge, you can see that it can run up to 4 hours, 5 hours, but capacitors are not. But still, people are now trying to do research so that energy density can be enhanced, right? So possible to maybe in the future you can replace this type of supercapacitor with battery, right? So it is possible in future that we don't know at this moment. People are working on batteries as well. People are working on the supercapacitor as well, right? But supercapacitor, whenever application it is there for short time, right, lesser than the battery time, there you can use. Just I have shown you the bus as well, right? In Shanghai they have run the bus, but that is for short time. This you can see running time it is 10 kilometer, right? Maybe in the future we don't know, it can run up to 50 kilometer.
Yes, sir.
But stability
energy
issue,
capacity is less for capacitor.
Energy density is less for the capacitor.
Sir, what about the capacity? How much it can store?
Capacity, instead of capacity, we should talk about the energy and power.
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you think about the batteries, it is having lesser power, but having higher energy density. If you think about fuel cell, it is still having higher energy than the batteries, but still not much research it is there. So you should think and broaden your knowledge so that whatever thing it is there as in terms of energy storage device, you can work on that one. Now people are using composite, means somewhere in between the battery and supercapacitor in between. So one material is battery type, another material is supercapacitor type.
Yes.
Right. That is a research.
Yes. Yes. Sir, these supercapacitors are subjected to thermal runaway like battery, or it can explode, or some problems like these can come in supercapacitor, or that they are safe.
No, for example, if you are using liquid, right? So whenever there is a imperfect sealing or suppose thermal problem it is there, it can be shortened, and so whole your instrument can damage, right? So what people are now using, just I showed that presentation to make complete solid state device. So for example, if you have any electronic part, if you are having suppose solid state device, right? What will happen? There is no liquidity is coming out. So it can be very stable, and it will not, although that supercapacitor may be suppose damaged, your other device should not damage.
Yes.
Right. That is the idea for the solid state.
Yes.
So okay, next question that we should take from Kiran Nargati.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Sir, as we know, 3D supercapacitors have demonstrated more energy density than two-dimensional supercapacitors.
Yes.
But it is having the drawback of flexibility.
Yes, because whenever you are two-dimensional, it is very easy to bend, right?
Correct.
But you are growing something in a three-dimensional, right? So whenever you are bending, means what? You are cracking some part.
Yes, sir.
Right. That's why it is having lesser stability. Means what type? Suppose application is there for more bending, you can use 2D, and if you are application with higher energy, you can use 3D. So what type of application it is there, you can focus depending upon that one. You can use type of the device.
Okay. So for two-dimensional, how much maximum thickness we can go, maintaining the flexibility also?
Yes, that depending upon the parameter called specific capacitance, depending upon the mass loading. So for any particular material, you can go up to certain limit called as a mass loading, right? So beyond which that mass loading, although it is there, capacitance may be lower. Okay. So depending upon type of material, you have to optimize that one. Means for example, if you're taking X material, mass loading may be different. For B material, mass loading may be different. So these are called as the preparative parameters.
Okay, sir.
Right. For example, I am using suppose CILR method. So depending upon number of immersion, number of time it is there, concentration, pH, number of cycle it is there, right? All these parameters it will play when you are doing R&D work. So whatever target to get higher density or higher specific capacitance, you can tune all these things.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other question, please? Meanwhile, that I should try to have some knowledge about this one. What are the advantages of a solid state supercapacitor over liquid configured supercapacitor?
Yes. Advantages.
Advantages of solid state supercapacitor over liquid configured supercapacitor.
Yes, because whenever we are using, suppose liquid, any type of device, right? So there is a perfect sealing should be there, like that Maxwell and other companies they are selling, they are doing very huge encapsulation, right? So if imperfect sealing is not there, liquid can come out one thing, right? And liquid evaporation may be there, or suppose liquid can interact with your substrate or whatever the foil you are using or material you are using. So long-term stability it is there. So it can be overcome only when you are using solid state device. But whenever you are using solid state device, there is a problem of the conductivity. So conductivity of the whatever inner part you are using as a dielectric media may be lesser as compared to the liquid. So both has to be tackled, means having advantage and disadvantage. So people are working on the solid state so that it can come and overcome the issue for the long-term stability.
Any other question from the participant side? So if there is no further question, then let us thank the speaker for a very nice presentation. Thank you very much, Professor Paul, for this lecture.
Thank you,
and I
sir.
hope that in future also that we will have some interaction on this supercapacitor.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So for the participants, there is some announcement already that I have made in the beginning of the lecture.